Welcome back, everyone, to the show. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to Football's 12th Man podcast. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I've brought Emilio and Billy on with me to discuss some of the transfers that happened yesterday on deadline day and also some of the performances of late when it comes to the Premier League. We are going to be joined later on, hopefully, by another couple of gentlemen. But, Emilio, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Good week, good performance against Arsenal. Didn't disgrace ourselves there. 3 points against Brighton, against an informed team, and looking forward to Tottenham tomorrow away from home. Nothing to lose as far as I'm concerned. We play there with a bit of pride, and a transfer window not too bad. A few more additions. Not spectacular signings, but steady signings. It just adds a bit more depth to our squad, I guess. But overall, pretty good week.
Yeah, I would agree with that, to be honest with you. I don't think Fulham fans at the moment can be too downhearted at all. Billy's back. How you doing, Bill?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, mate. Yourself?
I'm all right, man. I've calmed down after yesterday. I had a bit of a stroke after the old transfer window didn't give us the players that we needed. But I'm over it now, mate. We can't do nothing about it. We've got to look forward to a massive game at the weekend against Man United, which, let's be honest, is going to be either a cracker or one that's just going to be cancel each other out. That's always the way with us. We either go there and play really well and lose, or we cancel each other out. And I'm expecting similar, if I'm honest, because I'm just used to it now at Old Trafford. But let's talk transfers. I don't want to talk about just Arsenal, Fulham and Villa today. I want to bring on some other clubs as well and just have a bit of a general how we're feeling from the close of the window and who we think's done well, who we think's needed to do a bit better, where we think people are still short, and if it's changed any expectations for us, not just with our clubs but with the Premier League table as it stands. So Billy, we'll start with you because as we were talking offline, Gerrard's under some immense pressure, bruv. Not just because of losing to us, because I feel like most people would have expected Arsenal to win that game, but the Bournemouth game did you no favours at all at the start of the season, and it's not really got much better from there as far as we're concerned. And I think when you look at Aston Villa's 11, you start scratching your head as to why you're struggling so much, because it's not really a shocking team. So what's going on at Aston Villa, mate, at the moment for you?
I really don't know, because like you say, we've got a good team. We've got a decent squad in general. You look at the bench as well, the options that we have coming off the bench. It's good enough to be pushing for that top half of the Premier League, but we're just not. And to be honest with you, I do think that the amount of options that we have, particularly going forward, doesn't help things. We've got 6 attackers, including Archer, the young lad. Obviously, in there, I'm including Watkins, Ings, your 3 wingers, midfielders in Coutinho, Buendia, and Bailey as well. So we've got 6 players there, and it's trying to keep them all happy, trying to give them all a decent shot. Gerrard's still trying to find his best team 9-10 months down the line, which is slightly concerning, to be honest with you. I think a lot of us kind of know what Villa's best team is. We have an idea, our own ideas of what Villa's best team is. For example, in my opinion, I prefer the diamond with Ings and Watkins up top, with one of Buendia and Coutinho in behind. I just think that's where we've got the most of our joy under Gerrard. But then you're leaving out the likes of Leon Bailey or Buendia and Coutinho. So it's a tricky one to kind of keep everyone happy. But I'm not Gerrard out just yet. I just think that it's inevitable that he goes. And, like I said last night when I was on with you and Lee, Dan, we're not expecting to get anything against Arsenal. We're not expecting to get anything against Man City. These are just free hits for us. We just need to go out and show a best version of ourselves. And I thought we did okay against Arsenal. I think we thought we made it hard for you at times. But you ultimately deserved the win. You battered us in the end. You just look at the stats. You were by far the better team, and you don't need to look at the stats to realise that you were by far the better team either. We just had no creativity, which is again a baffling one considering the names that I've just mentioned. So yeah, it's a frustrating one, really. Like I say, it's a little bit inevitable that Gerrard's going to go. The I think it really depends on how many points we get off Leicester and Southampton after Man City. Um, in my opinion, we need to get 6 points off them, no matter what. That's the bare minimum, in my opinion. Otherwise, he has to go because these two teams aren't pulling up too many trees themselves. They're not looking fantastic. Southampton are looking all right. We obviously know what's going on with Leicester. Brendan Rodgers isn't happy with the board, the lack of transfers they've made. Tielemans isn't happy, that kind of thing. So there's a good chance to get points there. But will we? That's the thing. They're going to be looking at that game as well and thinking this is a good chance for us to get 3 points, first 3 points. So we've got a lot riding on those two games. If we don't get 6 points, I think that's when I will seriously turn to the Gerrard out kind of thing, because for me, league position at the minute doesn't matter. But 3 games down the line, we're 8-9 games in, still sat 19th or 20th. That cannot be where Aston Villa are. We have to get rid. And when you've got a manager like Pochettino who's sat there waiting, doing nothing, twiddling his thumbs, we have to pounce at the opportunity to get him. You've got Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, who's looks like he could leave at any second. If Brendan Rodgers goes, where are Leicester going to go? They're going to go and get Pochettino. And you can't blame them for doing so. The only other name for me would be Graham Potter, but why is he going to leave Brighton with where they're going, and especially in the middle of the season as well? It's such a frustrating one because I had such high hopes for Gerrard as well. I was very apprehensive when he first came in, but he came in and I was looking forward to it. We've got Steven Gerrard, the pull of Steven Gerrard as well. You look at some of the football that he was playing at Rangers, and it got me really, really excited. And I really hope that he can turn this around. I just don't think it's going to come. I've got to be honest.
I have to agree, man. And Man City at the weekend ain't going to do you any favours, Bill. I can't lie.
Man.
Let's welcome Ed to the show, man. Everton fan Ed. How you doing, Ed? You good, bro?
Yeah, as good as you can be before a derby with your biggest rivals. So that's something to look forward to tomorrow. But yeah, apart from that, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Glad to be here.
No, mate, welcome, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of you on this channel. Listen, I want to ask you, Ed, because obviously Lampard's at Everton, you got Gerrard over at Villa, and I think both of them have got a lot of stick, perhaps justifiably so in certain cases of the games that we've seen. But I want to get your opinions just quickly on Aston Villa and who you think will last longer, Lampard or Gerrard. It'd be really interesting to get your opinion, bro.
I think it's probably going to be... I think Gerrard will probably be the one to go first, because the way I think it is with Lampard is that a lot of the fans are backing him. And I think that's kind of what has won him the respect and the time, basically, to be able to do what he wants, because Everton fans will be used to a lot of chop and changing with the managers. In the last 6 years, we've had, I think, something like 6 managers. And it's been a crazy turnaround in terms of how many have gone through the door, out the door. And with Lampard this time, he's bought into how the club should be run and how the fans really is so much of the club. And he's got this identity going with them. And a lot of fans have been won over and have said, right, he is the guy to invest in. He is the guy to give the most amount of time to, and I don't see that with Gerrard at Villa. I don't know. I haven't watched a Villa week in, week out, so I couldn't say how he is with the fans. But that's just coming from an Everton fan's perspective. I think Lampard will probably be staying in longer. Not even with bias or anything to do with Gerrard with Liverpool. It is just a case of Lampard's won over the fans. He's been backed by the board for a bit longer. in terms of, especially with the situation we had last season and the mess that we are currently in. Yeah, he's got more time, and I'm happy to give him the whole season, to be honest.
I think that's fair to you, man, and fair play for bigging up and backing what you've got. I don't think either of them are going to last long. I can't lie. I've not been impressed with what I've seen from Lampard or Gerrard, and I feel like when you've got the results that you've got at the moment, then things need to change, obviously, at both clubs. Now, with Everton, I think, to be fair, we've seen a little bit of fight of late. With Aston Villa, you won't mind me saying this, Bill, you look a little bit all over the place, man. I can't really understand where you're going with your tactics, with your team selection, with your formation. There's no real style of play yet that I can see. And I think when you're struggling to get goals and creativity out of players like Coutinho, Buendia, Ramsey, who I think is a good little player, Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings, it's a bit of a worry for Gerrard. And when you've got Manchester City next, that's not really the game that should get him the sack, because he's not expected to win there. But when you go to Leicester after that and don't take nothing, that could be the nail in the coffin for me, because then you're in serious trouble, especially when Leicester have got 1 point and they're bottom of the league. If you're going to go there and not take a result, then yeah, I think the writing's on the wall for Steven Gerrard then. And it's a hard one, because I liked both Gerrard and Lampard as players. From an Arsenal perspective, I didn't like them when they scored against us, but I certainly could respect how great they both were. And it's always good to see great players, isn't it, being good in their management roles. But how many times does that work? Like, how many managers can you think back of in history other than, say, Pep Guardiola, and go, wow, like absolutely superb elite manager? I can't really think of many. Like, if you look back, was Fergie a great footballer?
That comes to mind for me is Zidane, and that's it.
There you go.
He's not done anything in the Premier League either yet, in fairness to him. But yeah, you can't argue what he's done, or what he did do at Real Madrid anyway.
Yeah, I absolutely. 3 Champions League wasn't so bad in a row, was it? But I look at what Wenger, Ferguson, Mourinho, and all the managers of old, even Jurgen Klopp, they all played football, but never at an elite level, was it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so Johan Cruyff, to be fair.
Johan Cruyff's a good shout. But we're struggling, aren't we? Is my point. We're struggling to find many. So I think that sometimes players should stay as players and go into coaching roles and not just full management roles. And sometimes I wonder how much of it you need to learn before you jump into the role. And I think sometimes it's proved that it's that to be the case. But just want to stay with you, Ed. I want to talk a little bit about Everton, because we haven't really had an Everton fan on us yet. We had a bit of Varney, but Varney's had to pull out of the pod, unfortunately, due to some personal issues. But I wanted to come to you because I feel with Everton, I've been a little bit harsh because I've tipped you to go down, because I just don't rate Lampard. And I think your squad, without Richarlison, who's, in my opinion, the reason you stayed up, is going to really struggle. You started to pull it a little bit together, but I just want to get your thoughts on where you stand on the manager and what you are looking at this season as far as Everton are concerned, mate.
To be honest, we just look at any position above where we finished last season is a bonus. It doesn't matter if we don't challenge. I mean, obviously, we're not going to challenge for the title. We're not going to challenge for Europe. We're probably not even going to challenge for top half of the table. If we finish anywhere between 16th and 11th, that is completely fine with me, because at this point in time, we haven't really been. I mean, Lampard's been handed an awful set of cards, because he's got the board have been overspending for so many years. We've got this new stadium on the horizon. We haven't got the money basically until realistically we sell players to be able to invest properly. So we've had to sell Richarlison to be able to cover the transfers for this summer, which has been some pretty good business. I'll get onto in a sec, but it's a very weird situation. It's kind of just stopgap for now. Stop the rot. Stop the team from going, because over the last 6 years of this board being in charge, the club has gone backwards, like barely had a chance of going up further the table. It's been, I think the highest we've been is 8th, and before the money was coming in, we were finishing 5th, 6th, 7th. So we just need to basically stop the rot and get to the new stadium, because that's when the new income, that's where the more TV games probably will be coming in, and that's where you start generating the revenue to start be able to push FFP. And just start progressing again. And if it's with Lampard, great, because by that point, he'll have had a couple of seasons and he'll have developed. But we basically just have to get this right with who we've signed and who we've got in charge, because if we don't, we're a lot further down. And we probably, I can understand any fan in the Premier League saying we should be going down, because we only just got out by the skin of our teeth, with probably Richarlison was the one that saved us, really. But the signings we brought in, two centre-backs straight away, Connor Cody, James Tarkowski, fantastic additions for a defence that leaked so many goals last year and has even just a bit of leadership. A spine and leadership at the back is something we've phenomenally missed for so many years, and it's small signings like that will probably make the difference. I've said it in group chats. James Tarkowski, depending how fit he is, will determine where we finish this year. And it's signings like that, and then you get the young kid coming in, Onana, James Garner. James Garner is a phenomenal piece of business as well. We've managed to get him for him. 9 million, no buyback clause, nothing. He's going to, hopefully develop pretty well into the side. And then you've got Anthony Gordon still basically still here. For somehow we've managed to keep hold of him with all the advances from Chelsea, and he'll probably be coming in like a new player now as well. So, there's reasons for us to have hope, but I can also understand why everyone else sees us as the easy relegation.
Yeah, and I feel, I really like Everton. I'll say that from the top. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them, and I've always felt that they're the one team that I look at and I think, do you know what? Like, I really do like them as a club, and I've loved their fan base, and I always like to see them do well. But I just looked at them and I just see them spending so much money, and look at the team and I think, how has that much money got them that team? And there's so many question marks there that I think your owners and board need to look at themselves and think, what are we doing here? Why have we spent this much money and the team is still like this? You know what I mean? So I do look at that, and I know what it's like, trust me, to have owners that can be frustrating, trust me. But I look at Arsenal and I think we've spent a lot of money and got it wrong at times. But Everton have been in a bit of a mess at times, particularly over the last couple of seasons. And I think when Calvert-Lewin comes in and looks good, then he gets injured for God knows how many weeks again. Richarlison was one of the reasons you got them up. You kept them up. But I do look at the window, and although I think some of them's good, I kind of look at the signings as being, we might keep Everton up, not we might take Everton forward. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think that James Tarkowski and Connor Cody are two experienced Premier League proven defenders that are going to do a great job for you. Dwight McNeil, never been a fan. I think he scored 7 goals in 4 years. It's not going to do much for you. Anthony Gordon, I do like. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a great player. I don't think 60 million is right, by the way. I thought that was a madness. I think Everton should have snapped that up. Snap that up. Yeah, we'll take 60 million. But I suppose what I'm getting at is, have Everton done enough to be confident and comfortable with staying up? And I suppose we can ask that as a question to the panel and see what they think. Amelia, I'd be interested to see, as a Fulham fan, Everton, you'd said at the start of the season you'd probably be fighting in and around the relegation zone with. Do you look at the business they've done and think they're going to be okay this this season?
To be honest, I think one player doesn't mark your team. I know Richarlison has a lot of. For me, as a neutral, wasn't watching clearly much of the Premier League last season. We weren't in there, but overrated maybe. Richarlison's in and out of games. And again, maybe I'm being a bit harsh because I wasn't seeing him week in, week out. But I don't always get the impression he was always a team player. Sometimes drifting in games as other games. He's maybe a bit of a luxury player. Maybe being a little bit harsh. Like I said, I'm not seeing them every game last season, but I think the fact that he's got 60 million for him, and then you've made some shrewd business, and you've got some good additions. He's mentioned in the defence, Mopay, he was linked heavily with Fulham last week, and he chose to go to Everton instead. So clearly, he feels there's more upside to playing at Everton than he does at Fulham. So I'm relieved in a way because Mopay doesn't score enough goals. So you're more than welcome to have him, to be honest. But the same thing, I just think for 60 million, you bagged another half dozen players who net I think will give you more depth than one playing Richarlison. So I actually think let him go. I just find him sometimes a little bit too arrogant and drifts in and out of games and not always playing consistently. But I might be unfair because I don't watch your team play every week. And yeah, you'll be in the bottom 6. I think that's fair. I think you'll be in around some of the, like ourselves. We've had a good start to the season, but we've got 2 tough games coming up, and if we don't win, if we lose both those games, then we're going to be in the lower reach of the division. So this division is moving, week in, week out, game in after game. You can win one game, lose the next, and suddenly you're up 3 places or down 3 places. So it's going to be a very topsy-turvy season. But from a Fulham perspective, I think I'm reasonably happy with our transfer window. I think maybe we could have strengthened in a couple areas. We've added more depth. Our starting 11 has done well thus far. We've been competitive in all the games. We haven't been blown away. We've only lost to Arsenal. I'd argue that, on another day, we might have grabbed a point there down last weekend. And the winner was a little bit scrappy.
That's fair, mate, I think.
I know you dominated first half, a lot of possession, but I thought we comfortably defended. And unlike falling apart in previous seasons where that type of game, it might have been 3-0 down at half time. So I think all kudos to the team. We're looking tight. We're playing a good formula, good attacking football. We're dangerous. I think we've now got goals in our attack, and that gives us a little bit more edge than we've had in previous seasons. But overall, good start to the season, decent transfer window. I'm not happy about the Williams signing. I don't know how the hell he's got into Fulham. I just think he's selfish, arrogant, and a luxury player that goes against the brand of Fulham Football Club. I don't want him there.
How much is he on a week, Emilio?
Good question. I don't know. It's
maybe he was on 200. He was on 200 for us a week. Yeah. So
I reckon he's on about 40, 50 grand. I think he's gone down to that low. I think he's desperate to come back to London. But I was never a fan of him when he went to, when he played for yourself and for Chelsea. I just thought he's just a bit too arrogant for his own liking, and he's way past his best. But is he going to disrupt the team rather than actually add quality and depth and goals and assists? But only time will tell. He's only committed for a season. You could argue nothing to lose, but in the past we've had luxury players like Schürrle 4 years ago, high expectations, we went down. Berbatov, okay, one season he did well, second season we got relegated. So these are not the players I want in our club, but the owners felt that he will add value.
You know what? I reckon Willian's gone back there because the last time he went there, he scored like 2 goals, 3 assists, whatever it was on our first game. Then did nothing else for the rest of his time at Arsenal. So maybe he's decided to go back there.
Wasn't it? A couple of years ago.
It was a couple of years ago now.
Is he going to play a lot of games? Because didn't you get Dan James as well on loan? Something like that.
Dan James is a good signing. I think that again, that was a lastminute.com yesterday evening. Got him. Why Leeds wanting to sell or loan him out? I just don't get it. There's been a lot of transfers between.
I don't rate him, Emilio. Clubs. That's why I don't rate him. I don't rate that Dan James, man. I don't get it. I don't rate him, Emilio. Come on.
Signing. I like it. He's got
Here we go.
pace.
Emilio take make out. He's a great signing now.
I think the attacking, the way Silver wants to play. We're lacking width at the moment because we've got Harry Wilson still injured, Salomon injured until this new year. So we're desperately short on width. I know, saying Mitrovic is banging goals this season. We are creating a lot, but Dan James will stretch defenses with that. We can come off the bench, add a bit of pace, stretch those defenders, create some chances for Mitrovic and others. So I think he could be a shrewd signing. Again, he suits the way we play. We like to play on the break, and what he offers is a lot of attacking flair. Where this final pass could be weak at times, but you'd argue 1 in 3, 1 in 4 opportunities may result in a goal. So I'm actually quite excited about that because
he might do well, man. He might do well. He did well at Swansea, didn't he? And then obviously Man United, it was just too big a move for him. And I think he's gone to Leeds and he's done some good things and some bad things. And I think now that Jesse March is looking towards some of the other players he's brought in the window, there's obviously been enough room for him to move, and he wants first team football. Spurs were linked with him, and I was roasting Tobes saying, "Go on, I hope they get him, man. I really do." But unfortunately, he didn't. Here we go. We've got a Leeds fan in the chat saying about Dan James, saying that all wishes him all the luck. Fulham, it's going to be all bad, unfortunately.
We play a different style of football to Leeds United, so again, it's all about the fit, the style of football, the branding, and we play with that sort of attacking flair. We like to play on the break, and he will offer something. To be honest, I actually think he could be quite unpredictable and maybe a surprise package for us. William, I'm not expecting much, but will he start games? Question mark. I don't know, but that was a frustrating signing, a slightly panic signing as well for me. But the board have made a decision. Let's hope he proves to be wrong and does well.
I was a bit surprised. I can't lie. With the Willian one, but you made a few signings, Amelia. How many did you get in the end?
Well, who do we? I think the ones that have started to step up. So Lena's got his way into with his number one.
Yeah,
keeper.
Good signing. Nice.
I think he's a good signing. Paulinho has been outstanding in that central defensive.
Yeah, very
role.
good.
Very good signing. Pereira, other than the Brighton game on Tuesday, he's had a good start to the season. He was off colour on Tuesday night. But I think he'd be a good signing. Good from corners and set pieces, and a lot of our goals are starting to come from that position. We bought Mbappe in as a backup right back. Again, we could rotate that position. Diop from West Ham. Again, he had a shocking game against Crawley in a cup a week or so ago, but we paid 15, 16 million for him. So he will eventually, I'm sure, find his way into the team where maybe things start to go a little bit pear-shaped at the club. And then we've got a few loan signings. Dan James is this left back from PSG. It's Kurzawa.
Kazawa, yeah.
Potentially,
he was wicked a few years ago.
Yeah. We've got this Benfica striker, Vinicius, I think it is. It's again, that's where I think we haven't necessarily. Again, he could be a good backup for Mitrovic as well.
Former Spurs, I think.
Oh, yeah. Is it that guy?
Yeah,
the guy who scored,
celebrated like
he did the celebration for Mbappe when he scored against like Clacton Town or whatever.
Exactly. So again, could be another. Again, it's all adding depth. So I think we've strengthened in key areas, but I still think we were a central defensive midfielder short, and probably another central defender short. But overall, I don't think we can complain. We've got rid of a lot of the dead weight as well. A lot of the fringe players have gone out on loan or they've just been released from their contracts. Overall, probably a 7 out of 10 transfer window. To be honest, I'm reasonably pleased. But good start, but things can turn very quickly in this division. That's the problem.
Yeah, man. Before I move to the other lads, I've got to ask you, Emilio. Mitrovic, he's been wicked, man. Can't lie, he's been wicked. And always liked this player. And when he was at Newcastle, I felt that he was going to be a good player. And it never quite worked for him in the Prem. And then at Fulham, it didn't really work for him when you were in the Prem last time. Then you went to the Championship and he was wicked, like absolutely immense. And he's come up and he's been more than a handful. And he certainly does seem to know where the goal is, man. Can that form continue, mate?
I think so. I think, adding this, we've brought a bit more depth now into the squad. That can only be good for Mitrovic and the team. We're going to create goals and chances this season. That's the key thing. It's, if we can keep it tight defensively and attack with flair like we have done, we're creating chances for Mitrovic. And also, what we need is the players around him to start contributing. So I'd like to see the likes of, Pereira starting to score some more goals. He's assisting, he's getting involved. He needs to start hitting the back of the net as far as I'm concerned. Harry Wilson will come back very soon. He'll be playing week in, week out. He'll contribute goals and assists. So it's about the team bit playing as a whole rather than just all Mitrovic. But he's been outstanding. His confidence is sky high. But Scott Parker lives to regret the day that he didn't play him for a whole season. So 2 years ago, Mitrovic barely played a game because Scott Parker didn't feel it suited his style of football. Look, he's moved on. He's got sacked at Bournemouth subsequently. And now who's having the final laugh? It's certainly not Scott Parker. So
there you go, Billy. Scott Parker's available, mate. Yeah. Scott Parker's available, Bill.
I was a fan of him at Fulham as well, to be fair.
No. If you sign him, there's more chance you go down, Billy. So it's
I'll stick to Pochettino.
With a lot of big teams, right? And why would he go to Man United? No, just why would he go to Arsenal? He's happy where he is. He's on decent wages, good profiles, got the World Cup to look forward to. If he stays fit and energetic the way he is, then he's got a good season ahead of us. And we just need a few more goals around Mitrovic, and then we might be okay in the Premier League. But relying on one man, then maybe a few defeats might bring Fulham fans back down to earth. So we just got to be mindful. It's only 5 games in.
Yeah, mate. Listen, goals by committee is always good, but when you've got your striker that you can rely on, you're in for a treat, and that's what you've got at the moment, lads. I want to put this question out there because we're talking of goals, and I got asked this yesterday. Anthony, I've got a couple of questions. One I'm going to bring in a minute, which is a good question for you all, lads. How many goals will Haaland bag this season? Man, this guy is unreal, right? Like, he is ridiculously good. Like I said, mate, that he was going to be superb. Ed, you're going 50, does that say, in all comps?
50.
Can you hear me, Ed?
I can hear you. Dan, I can hear.
Can't hear you, man. You're on mute, I think.
Am I back? Sorry.
There you go, mate. You're back.
No, I'm back. Sorry, my Wi-Fi connection's been awful today. Sorry. Pose the question again.
Yeah, Haaland. We're talking about Haaland and how many goals.
Yeah, 50. Got to be. Something like that is just crazy. Wow. It's got to be high numbers.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say I shocked that or disagree too much. I'm looking at how good this guy is. I mean, I knew he was ridiculously good at Dortmund, and I said that him and Mbappe will be the next like Messi and Ronaldo kind of. They probably won't be as good as them, but they'll be the next two that we talk about in that bracket of the elite bracket. I look at what Haaland's done at Man City, Billy, and I'm like, this guy is ridiculous. Like, you've got him next. It's like, God, I hope he's out injured. Do you know what I mean? Because he's so good. And like, when I look at his goals, I don't go, wow, they're brilliant goals. He's just a killer. He's just a striker. He can do everything. He's always in the right place. All of his goals are in and around the box. He just be able to score his goals, left foot, right foot, headers. He can do one-on-ones. He can do like sort of last minute stuff. Man, this guy's ridiculously good, man. What's your thoughts?
He's frightening, isn't he? I really hope that Pep decides to give him a rest tomorrow. Let's put it that way. Yeah, in terms of how many goals I think he's going to get in all competitions, I can't say as many as 50. I just can't. I think in the Premier League alone, I think it's going to be around the 25 mark. I know that may seem a bit low considering he's already scored 9, but he's not going to score 2 goals a game for the rest of the season. He's just not. So I think the goals will eventually slow down a little bit. So yeah, I think in the league, I'm going to say around 25, probably push up maybe a little bit further to 30. In the Champions League and the Cups as well, is where, particularly in the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, he'll probably be resting a little bit more. But I'm going to say at least another 10 or 15. So what, I suppose that's 40, isn't it?
Wow.
Around about there in all competitions.
Well, listen, Anthony says, Billy, I'm saying 4-0 tomorrow, and Erling Haaland hat-trick and Gerrard's P45. I'm going to go 30.
Sometimes as well. Sorry, it's like the the Bournemouth game, for example. They got thumped last week. Parker's gone, and they were a little bit more organised against Wolves. I know it's a different team, but sometimes it's a good time to play a team that's suddenly won comprehensively. And you get there's a bit of arrogance and attitude there. Like Brentford beat Man United, 2 or 3 weeks ago, 4-0. They came to the Cottage with a load of arrogance, and we turned them over 3-2. And again, sometimes maybe it's not a bad time to play them, Billy. They're on a high, you're on a low. You've got maybe nothing to lose in a way, and maybe you can go in there and maybe put the shirt on and actually play for the club, and maybe you might be pleasantly surprised. You never know. You might get a draw out of that game.
I obviously hope that that's the way that it ends up going. I just think this Man City team are relentless. That I can't really see them losing all season, and it pains me to say that because I really don't like Man City either. But I think they will do eventually. They're bound to have an off day. They always do once a season at least. But I suppose in previous seasons, they haven't had Erling Haaland up front, have they, to bail them out? But I suppose if he gets injured, he's got a poor injury record as well, to be fair to him. So, again, that will slow down the goals. But, yeah, I can't see him getting an injury before tomorrow, unfortunately.
No, I can't either, man.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow in the slightest. I genuinely do think it'll be an absolute pummeling.
Yeah, I must admit, I fancy them to do well against you. I can't lie. If Haaland stays fit, I reckon he'll get 35 goals in all comps. That's what I've gone for. I think we need to be realistic, but at the same time, this kid is unreal. Andy Goldstein was on TalkSport yesterday saying that he believes he'll go down as the best Premier League striker in history by the end of his career. And to say that this early doors, I think he's got 9 goals, isn't it, in 5 games? I mean, that's just absolute madness. I can't remember the last time that was done, if I'm honest with you. So this guy is going to be unreal. Before we go into a little bit more about your teams in terms of your season, just want to round up a few other teams' transfer windows and what you've rated them out of 10. Be interesting to get a kind of an understanding. We don't want to go through every single team, but we want to try and look at the teams towards the top. We'll start with Man City. I think they've had a brilliant window. I can't lie. We've just spoken about the reasons why. One of them is Haaland. They've obviously got Alvarez as well. So they've replaced Jesus and Sterling with those two. They've also replaced Fernandinho with Calvin Phillips. They've got Zinchenko to us, but also they've replaced him with what's his name? The Sergio, what's his name?
Sergio
The
Gomez,
left back.
something like that. I
Sergio
think, isn't it?
Gomez, well done, Billy. The left back, and they've also got a keeper as well, replacement for Stefan. I've got to give him a 9 out of 10. I just think it's been ridiculously good. I look at them now and the way they're playing, it's proved to be a great window. So I'm going to go with a 9. We'll give quick numbers for this. We'll just do a quick round robin. What are you going for, Emilio?
Yeah, again, if Haaland's going to win Man City the Champions League, then clearly it's going to be a 9 or a 10. I think Phillips from Leeds is a good signing, but Raheem Sterling again. I think they've done good business there. The fact they've got how much they get for him, 50 million or something like that.
Nearly, yeah, almost.
Again, he's done his course at Man City, Chelsea. I'm not sure how well he'll do at Chelsea, to be honest, but good business. Sold an England international for 50 million and brought in Haaland for pretty much the same price, right? So that alone deserves a 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. So they look obviously the team to beat, but I think I agree with Bill. They're not indispensable. I think they're gonna have a few hiccups here and there, and Champions League is clearly what they're aiming for this season. That's their priority, and wish them all the best. As long as it's not Liverpool in the Champions League, I'm okay with that, to be honest. But it's a good transfer window for them. They haven't spent billions and made some decent. They've sold some. They've got some money from some of their sales.
Yeah, no,
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, no, fair play, man. I don't think there's anyone that can disagree with that, really. Billy, let's move to Liverpool. They've brought in Darwin Nunez, they've brought in Fabio Carvalho, looked at another couple of youngsters. They've got Arthur on loan the last day of the season. But in defence to Liverpool, they haven't had a shake-up like Man City. They've kept the players they had from last season, which I think is really good team. They've got good backup now, something they probably didn't have a few years ago. They've now got strength in depth in most covers for areas. So what are you giving them out of 10, bro?
Yeah, I think Liverpool's window overall, I think I'm going to give a 7. I think they've made some good signings. I think Nunez is obviously the standout, but I think losing Sadio Mane is massive, and I think you can already see that in the way that they're playing. They're just not used to not having Sadio Mane around the place. I think that's what brings them down for me. I think losing a player of such stature, such importance to them, such importance to the system as well. He's the one that starts the press. So now getting Luis Diaz to do that, while a fantastic player in his own right, he's not Sadio Mane that's been doing it for Liverpool for so long either. So while I like the signing of Nunez, I think he is going to be a top player. Another mad Uruguayan. He still needs to get used to the league himself, like you've mentioned there as well, Carvalho, I think he's going to be a fantastic player. Linking up with Harvey Elliott, who I think they got from you, Emilio, a couple of seasons ago, was it?
Absolutely.
He looks like a phenomenal player as well. So them two linking up for years to come, I think gonna see very good things at Liverpool. And then getting Arthur yesterday as well, I think that's a decent sign. I think it's only a loan for now, just to cover Thiago until he's back. But yeah, a decent window for them in general. I think a decent one.
I have to agree. I don't think it's been a shocker at all. I think Liverpool look at Man City though and be a little bit worried. I can't lie. Ed,
sure.
let's come. Yeah, Ed, let's come to you, man. Chelsea, for me, had a phenomenal window in terms of who they've brought in. They're playing shockingly bad, however, but they must be happy with some of the players they brought in. Ed, what's your thoughts on a rating for Chelsea's transfer window, bro?
Chelsea, yeah, especially with everything that went on over the last couple of months of the season with the ownership and whatever. But you've lost players like Rudiger, Christensen, but they've got rid of a lot of players. I mean, I've just got their transfer list up here, and they've got rid of Billy Gilmore, they've got rid of Marcus Alonso, arguably big players actually when you think about it, that especially Billy Gilmore's probably got a massive future ahead of him. But then you look at the signings they brought in. Raheem Sterling, straight away, fantastic in terms of ability as a player. He's obviously won a lot of trophies, so he's going to bring that sort of caliber to the dressing room. You've got Kalidou Kalidou Koulibaly, who has been obviously amazing for many years at Napoli, and Man United have been linked with him so many times, so many top clubs, and Chelsea got to him, and he could be a really good player for like in their defence. I think I'd be a little bit worried though in terms of how many they've brought in and how they're going to gel together. In terms of like they've got, was it Wesley Fofana as well, that like in the last couple of days of the transfer window. And I think one that's actually going to get quite underrated is Cucurella. And obviously they did pay a lot of money to Brighton for him. However, very good player. And I think he's going to be quite like instrumental into how they will progress and play this season. And then the last two were ones, I think it was on deadline day, was Dennis Zakaria from, I think it's Juventus, and Aubameyang. And Aubameyang's taking the number 9 shirt. So is he going to be able to score goals? Is he going to break the number 9 curse that Chelsea seem to have? I think he will. So I think he could be the missing piece in terms of how they score goals. But I probably would give it about an 8, I reckon, with their business they've done.
Fair play. I think that's fair. I actually gave it a 9 because I think that they've covered pretty much every position other than central midfield that they needed to. And I think with that, it would have given them a 10. I think central midfield, Zakaria has come in, but I do feel maybe there's a different type of midfielder that might have been needed as well. I think with Dennis Zakaria as well, like at Gladbach, he looked really good. But then at Juventus, he did a bit of a Rabiot where he just went there and just they destroy players, don't they? Like they did with Ramsey, Rabiot. Just seem to do that at the moment, Juventus. But I do think there's a player there, so it could be an interesting signing for Chelsea. Spurs, I might as well do. I hate doing this, but I think they've had an all right window. I don't think they've had an amazing one. I think there's about 2 or 3 of their players that do improve their first 11. The others are good backup players. So I'll give them a solid 6.5, to be honest, because I don't think they've done enough, in my opinion, at the back to go wow. I think Basuma's a fantastic player. I think Richarlison will come on and do some business for him, but I don't expect him to be scoring madness amount of goals because he's not going to play. Because that front three ain't getting rotated too much, in my opinion. And then the other players in and around them, maybe Perisic is the only other one that's been a starter. The others are all going to come in and be in and around the squad. Lenglet, obviously Jed Spence. There are a couple of centre-halves short, man. I don't rate any of them apart from Romero. Like Davinson Sanchez is the Colombian Mustafi, mate. He is shocking. Like he is absolutely shocking. And then you've got Dyer, who is Dyer, and obviously Ben Davies. So I can't believe he's still playing at left centre back. They've got Chicken Royale at right back who needs replacing. It's just, I don't rate any of the defenders. The only reason they're not going to concede loads is because they've got a wicked manager who sets them up well, so they don't concede many goals. Otherwise, they'd be a shambles under that Nuno Santos still. They would have come back 12th last season. So, I honestly believe that they've had a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 window. And I spoke to Tobes earlier who actually agrees with that and says he was disappointed they didn't get a few more through the door. Emilio, I'll let you do Arsenal, man. Be on it. Be honest. I'll let you be honest because I've not given it a massively high rating. So what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, interesting because you did a lot of the early bit. I think, Jesus, you look at some of this transfer signings of these other players, 45 million overall. I questioned it maybe a month or 2 ago, but now you've seen 70 million for Fofana. Some of these ridiculous transfer fees, 45 in hindsight looks like a bargain as far as I'm concerned. I think he started well for you. Good signings. Zinchenko, I think we talked about a few weeks ago. Again, you did these 2 early acquisitions, but then it all went a little bit quiet. I think that's why I think you've sold a lot of players. I think I mentioned it to you last week. Is there enough depth in this Arsenal team? For me, I think if you want to actually really push on for top 4 minimum, I don't think you've got the depth there. I think you've got to start to get a couple injuries.
We haven't.
Where the goals coming from? When Jesus picks up a knock, and he's had a tendency for picking up a few injuries at Man City. Where's your backup there? So you've let a lot of, I'd argue, good bench players, good squad players. You let them go. To be honest, so I think overall it's fairly underwhelming from an Arsenal perspective. You could have pushed on. You good start to the season, top of the table, and deservedly so. Can you stay there? Injuries. European competition. You're in the Europa League? No. Dan, are you in the Europa League?
Yeah, we're in the Arsenal in the Europa League. That's what I'm saying. We've got 4 competitions, mate, and we've got a squad of about 14 to 15 players.
Yeah, I just think the squad's very light, to be honest. So I just think
too light.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's very underwhelming from an Arsenal perspective. You started off those 2 good signings and it all went a little bit quiet. So yeah, I'm not surprised you're disappointed with that sort of window. There was an opportunity to push on, get the depth. compete on all levels. But I think as games wear in, the injuries kick in, suspensions, I think you're going to be a little bit light in the ground. The likes of Chelsea, when they start to find their feet, and they eventually gel. Tottenham, I think, are organised, but again, I think they had an underwhelming transfer window as well. Nothing special, to be honest. Some average players there So again, it's all about Man City. Even Liverpool. Let's be on Liverpool's transfer window. I think it's quite underwhelming as well.
I think City and Chelsea can be fairly happy, but everybody else, they've not done quite enough. What would you give it out of 10, Arsenal's?
I'd probably give it a 5 to 6, to be honest with you. I think it's disappointing. Had those two good signings, Jesus and Zinchenko, and then it's all gone a little bit quiet, and you've let a lot of players go.
Marquinhos and Vieira, but no one knows if they're going to be any good without kicking a ball yet. So I mean, listen, I don't think that's harsh. I don't think that's unfair. I think Jesus raises that. That level because he's been fantastic. And Zinchenko, Saliba doesn't count. People are counting that as a new signing because we're desperate to say we've signed on someone else. But he was signed 3 years ago, so you can't count him. And and Billy will know he did a show with me and Lee last night, and we're both disappointed, weren't we, Bill? Because we were thinking we'd get a couple more in, and obviously Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa last minute was just a complete and utter shambles. Really, to be bidding at 40 minutes left of the window for that was. That's just they do need sacking for that on the spot. Really, it's just embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. So I don't think you've been unfair there, Emilio. To be honest, I want to do a couple more. I don't want to get a couple more done. Just quickly, West Ham, Bill. They've signed 8 players, mate. They've pretty much covered every position that's needed. I think they're the other team that can hold their heads up high this window, mate.
Yeah, they've signed some decent players. I really like the look of that Paqueta. I can't claim to have seen an awful lot of him in France. However, everything that you do hear coming out from France says that he's a fantastic, fantastic player. So he's going to be one that I certainly keep an eye on. And the rest of them, they've obviously got the what was his name? The injured centre back.
Oh, Aguerd.
Yeah. He was looking decent. I think he got injured final game of pre-season or something. But I think from the very little bit that I saw of him, he was looking decent. So they've still got him to come back. So yeah, I think they've got some decent signings. They just need to start performing a bit better on the pitch. They've got the players to do so. Scamacca as well, of course, the other big standout, another 40-50 million pound player. A lot of promise. Didn't do an awful lot when I saw him against Villa, I've got to be honest. But he's 6'7". He suits David Moyes' style of play. So I'm sure he'll get goals eventually. But yeah, I think the main thing for West Ham now is to concentrate on league position and getting points on the table, because they're not looking very good, I've got to be honest. I thought against Villa, I thought it was a fairly even game. No team really deserved to win. We weren't fantastic. They weren't fantastic, but I think we were slightly the better team on the day. And I mean that very, very slightly, as in 51-49% kind of thing. I thought it was a little bit unfortunate, especially with the goal getting a deflection going straight over Martinez. It's just one of them, unfortunately. But yeah, they need to sort themselves out really, because this isn't the West Ham that we've got used to seeing the past couple of years. After such a good season last season, they need to sort things out, which I'm sure they will do. I'm sure they'll do it. They've got a decent squad there. As we've mentioned, decent additions as well, adding depth. What
would you give them?
Overall, I think I'd give them for the signings that they've made 7.5.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, because obviously they're Paquetas and the Scamacas, they all sound good, but they've got to do it. But actually, when you look at it on paper, I would give it a strong 7.5 towards an 8, if I'm honest with you, because I think they've done pretty much what the business they wanted to do in each position. Ed, I'll let you touch on Man United lastly. They've spent a lot of money, mate. Anthony, 100 million?
Yeah.
Come on, really? Jesus Christ. And the others they brought in as well. What would you give them as a rating, mate?
Do you know what? I'd actually probably give him maybe an 8. being quite honest, I think actually they've addressed every single position that they've needed to. I've got the list up here. Dubravka, arguably, probably Ten Hag's system would be suited more to. Anthony, he's worked with him at Ajax, and could be a very, very good addition to the squad. A lot of money spent, obviously, but and then I think probably the one that's going to go under the radar a lot is Casemiro. Like that puts the midfield from there to there in terms of just his quality alone. But it's a number 6, which is what they've needed for so many seasons now. Eriksen, great business getting him on a free, and obviously a lot of attacking quality. And he's probably been one of arguably the more standout players this season. And then this Tyrell Malacia, I think it's how you pronounce his name. And then obviously Sandro Martinez.
He looks wicked, that Malacia.
Just all signings, I think, will improve their squad. So I would give it an 8. A lot of money spent, but yeah, 8 out of 10, I'd say.
I don't think that's too harsh. I think I'd give it a solid 7, because I think what they've done is they've listened to Ten Hag about what he wants, and they've tried to accommodate what he wants, and they've definitely improved what they had. Let's be honest, it weren't hard, but they have. I mean, Lissandro Martinez, I know he's a bit short and gets the mick taken out of him, but he's looked good alongside Varane. I think Malacia has been one of their most best players for me the last few games that I've seen. He looks so much better than Luke Shaw. I mean, I know it's not hard, some would say, but he's looked fantastic. I think that Sancho, they seem to be getting the best out of because of the system they're now playing, and I think Anthony will add to that because he's a winger that will do well. So I'm not looking forward to the weekend, I can't lie, because I think they've come and peaked at the wrong time for Arsenal, but the right time for Man United. So I think it could be a tough game for us. I really do. So yeah, I'll give him a solid 7 as well, to be fair. The last one I want to do before we get to your guys is Emilio, is Newcastle. Signed Alexander Isak, Sven Botman. I expected a little bit more from Newcastle. I don't know why, but go for it, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think again they had a statement of intent, didn't they? With all the big money signings, pre-season, last season anyway, in January, and then Matt Target they got, was it 10, 15 million, a decent addition. 15 million. Goalkeeper, I like Nick Pope's had a good start to the season as well. So
that's a great signing. Yeah,
that's probably, you could argue that's probably one of the bargain transfers of the season for 10 million or so. To be honest, but I think again underwhelming. I expected them to go in and spend 300 million pounds and try to walk the league, but maybe the owners are starting to say, well, take it one stage at a time. They're going to be difficult to beat this season. They got stung right to death by Liverpool the other night, and another day they should have held on for a point there, a very good point at Anfield, but they're clearly going to be top half of the table. I think they've got enough depth, quality. They've got goals. They're looking a little bit more tighter in defence than they have been in previous seasons. So I think, if there are any Newcastle fans watching us tonight, I think this transfer window is probably a 6 out of 10. I think it's quite underwhelming again. Nothing outstanding there. Just one key signing. But Nick Pope for me is probably the bargain signing of the transfer window for the people going for 100 million quid. You've got Nick Pope at 10 mil. Bargain, and don't be surprised he'll be in the England setup for the World Cup if he carries on the form he started off this season. So yeah, overall, you'd expected more. I'm sure Newcastle would have expected the owners to spend 200 mil, but they can't be disappointed with all the money they spent in the last 8 months, back in January and now again in August. So I'm going to give it 6 out of 10, to be honest. It's not, on the basis they probably expected more signings.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair. Go on in, Emilio. Rate Fulham's out of 10. What are you going to give it?
Yeah, I think I was saying earlier, probably 7 out of 10. To be honest, I think it's not bad. It's some steady signings. There's some surprise signings to the likes of, like I said, the likes of Willian. To be honest, I think we've strengthened in key areas. Like I said, we've got a better goalkeeper there. We've released our third goalkeeper, Gazaniga, to a Spanish club, I think, or Portuguese, but we've managed to keep Rodak, who I think is a good backup keeper. Defensively, we've got backup now, left back and right back. Maybe central defence, we've got Shane Duffy from Brighton on loan, which I think is probably a good bench player. Can add some strength and quality when we need it. Diop from West Ham, I'd like to see him again. He had a shocker last week, but ultimately he'll eventually start playing week in, week out. And so overall, I think it's probably a 7.5 out of 10. I think we all expect more, right? But there's been some shrewd signings. We haven't spent millions. We spent 10 million here, 20 million there. And in hindsight, it's actually some shrewd business from the owners. So yeah, Fulham fans shouldn't complain. I think we've done quite well considering.
Fair enough, man. Billy, Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think we've had a 7 out of 10 window, to be honest with you. I mean, we've got the big one really for me was Diego Carlos and of course Boubacar Kamara, who we got on a free. But yeah, Carlos's injury obviously caused it caused us a lot of problems in depth, especially letting Courtney House go out on loan as well to Fulham. So we needed to bring not Fulham, sorry, Watford, but we needed to bring someone else in, and we've got some good, good solid Premier League defender in Jan Bednarek. I'm happy with that transfer. It's only a loan move for now. Whether there's the option for permanent at the end of the season, I'm not too sure. But a lot of Villa fans will be a bit disappointed with someone like Bednarek. I'm over the moon, to be honest with you. I think it's a very, very good piece of business. It's a very solid centre back who adds a lot of Premier League quality to the squad. So I'm happy with that as well. We've got cover with Augustinsson at left back. We needed that because if Luca Dean gets injured, God forbid, we'd be screwed. Could argue that we are even with Augustinsson because he's apparently not the best player in the world, but it's better than nothing. And of course, we've got Coutinho over the line, a little bit at the minute. I can't remember his last goal contribution, to be honest with you. But yeah, for 20 million, you can't really be too frustrated. And then, of course, we got Dendoncker yesterday as well. Another decent player, adds a lot of physicality that we needed in midfield. I remember speaking to you a couple of seasons at the end of not last season, the season before, Dan, and we said then that I needed a big, tall, strong central defensive midfielder. Finally, we've got one. But yeah, other than that, it's been so all included. It's been a fairly decent window for us. Nothing to get too excited about, especially with Diego Carlos injury. But Boubacar Kamara is the standout so far. I mean, he's just a joy to watch. I think he's a phenomenal player, and he's only going to get better as well. And to say we've got him pinned down to a 5-year contract is fantastic. So whether he stays with us or whether he moves on, it's going to be a large fee if he moves on anyway. So yeah, I mean, it sets us up well with or without Gerrard, I think. So yeah, I'm going to say it's a 7 out of 10, I think, for Villa.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, Billy, to be honest with you. Ed, Everton, mate.
I'd probably give it maybe an 8 out of 10, I reckon. 8 out of 10. I think it's addressed everywhere we've needed. Like I've said, Cody Tarkowski straight away fit into any lineup that we've put out. I think another one that's going to go under the radar a bit is Ruben Vinagre from Sporting, and he's obviously got a bit of experience in the Premier League, but when called upon, he's done pretty well when he's come in, and he could be quite essential in terms of attacking quality, especially when Calvert-Lewin comes back. But if he isn't fit for a while, we've got Neil Maupay in. We've got Dwight McNeil. Obviously, I think he could become a very good player because off the ball, his work rate has been amazing. And if you're a stats person, the pressures he's put on the most this season so far. And, it's just showing he's ready to take on and try and win the ball. So the goals and assists, I think, will come. And then bringing back Idrissa Gueye and then getting James Garner, some solid additions to the midfield, make it a bit more assured. And then Onana is going to be a great one, I think, for the future. Just the games he's played so far, he already has changed that midfield, and he's only 21. So I reckon he's got a massive future ahead of him. And for the business that we've done with the money that we've had available to us to spend, I'd give it probably an 8. Just needed to replace Richarlison properly, but can't have it all, I guess.
what Stan looks like.
Yeah, he's
fallen
gone,
asleep.
hasn't he?
So, yeah, I think while we're Dan's off air, I think we've lost Dan. I think Ed, your transfer window I think was pretty solid. Like I said earlier, I think you've sold one so big player, and you've net neutral in terms of your cost space, what you spent, and actually brought in half a dozen players. So you've added the depth for the sake of releasing one of your key players. Villa again, Billy. I think you've done shrewd business as well. So I think between the three of us, I think we shouldn't really complain. I think it's going to give us a better opportunity and chance to stay up in this division.
Yeah,
I think the biggest one. The biggest one. Oh, he's gone. We're hosting it ourselves. Apparently, I think the biggest one I've got to ask, I guess, really before we go, maybe, is all these additions that have been brought in. Would you say your squad has improved massively, okay, or looks a bit worse?
I think he's back.
My Wi-Fi completely crashed there. That was bizarre. I thought it was Ed's. I was thinking, his Wi-Fi is going to get in. Hang on, it's mine. Sorry about that. Cheers for that, Ed. Apologies, man. I sat there. What's going on here? It's got to be his Wi-Fi, surely. No, it wasn't. Guys, to end, I just want to get a bit of a prediction for this weekend for your games. But I'm going to put this in. There's got a super chat here from Anthony Alma. Says, yes, Dan, big up the lads and the lads. Another quiz question. Only 2 teams that have won all leagues in all 4 divisions. I actually know the answer to this because I've had this before. So I wanted to put it out there to you to have a little think while you're going through your predictions as to who you think those 2 teams might be. I actually thought it was 3 teams, so I might actually have it wrong. So maybe it's 2 of the 3 that I know, but I thought it was 3 teams. So Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was 3 teams, but maybe it is just 2. But have a little think about that, guys. 2 teams to win all leagues in all 4 divisions. That is a tough one. I can't lie. Let's start with you, Bill. What are you going for? I think you've said that it's going to be a bit of a shocker for you, mate. But I wanted you to go with it. What do you reckon, bro?
I hate predicting games, to be honest with you, but I've got to be brutally honest. And if we keep it below 4, I'll be very happy. But I think it's going to be 5-0, to be honest with you. I just don't. It's just, I know.
Wow.
They're just too good. They are just too good, and they're on fire at the minute. You know, De Bruyne had a rest against Forest, so he's going to be back firing. You've got Haaland up front as well. Whether it's Haaland from the bench or from the start, you just know that he's going to come on and get a goal. So, yeah, it's depressing time.
Yeah, man.
I can't wait for that game to be over.
Yeah, just roll on Leicester,
to face
mate.
him once more.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Yeah, fair play to you. Emilio, can you get anything at Spurs? Please say yes, please.
I think so. To be honest, if we can keep Kane and Son quiet, then I think we've got a lot to look forward to. I know Conte keeps that team organised. I'm not going to tempt fate here. I'm saying they don't always have a particularly good home record. I think they play better on the road than they do at home, and some of their games at home have been particularly disappointing. Again, I don't want to tempt fate, but I think we've got nothing to lose there. And let's go there, play with a bit of pride, get at them. It's going to be a big pitch. That's the only thing I think will favour Tottenham. I think we're obviously traditionally playing on a much smaller pitch. So, but I'm fairly confident we might get something out of the game. A 1-1 draw, I think. But it all depends what side of the bed Harry Kane wakes. So he wakes up on the right side of the bed, gets service. You know how lethal he can be, to be honest. And I think it's been a little bit not particularly impressive this season so far. But if he's on fire, then we're going to come away pointless. But I'm confident. We played like we did away to Arsenal last week and resolute like we were against Brighton and creating chances. There's no reason why we can't get something out of the game. So I'm going to be bullish and still, aim to get a 1-1 draw. But if we lose, it's not the end of the world. It's all about the performance for me. It's again like we did against Arsenal. We didn't disappoint. We were organised, lost at the death. That boded us well when we played Brighton on Tuesday night when we beat them. So that's for me. I don't want to get annihilated 6-0 like Forest were at Man City the other night. So as long as we keep it tight, organised, lose tightly, it's all about the manner of the performance. And then we've got Chelsea at home next weekend, which is probably not an easy game either, to be honest.
No, absolutely not, man. But I hope you get something out of Tottenham. I really do. I'd love to see it. Ed, listen, it's going to be a tough one as well, man. Everton, what's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, the the one fixture we look to every season to see where it's played. Merseyside derby. I'm actually gonna. I don't know whether it's a bit of blind optimism or actual thought into it, but I genuinely think we might win. And I don't know why, but I feel
That's
like it
blind
could just be like a
optimism.
snatch and grab. Yeah, blind optimism probably is the answer there. But I don't know why. I just feel like we might get a win tomorrow. Might like a snatch and grab 1-0, lucky like bounce of the ball, something like that tomorrow. And yeah, get away with it. But this Liverpool team is just, I think it's, especially with Mane going, looks a bit shaky at times. I mean, yeah, they won 9-0 against Bournemouth, but it's kind of like Bournemouth were a bit like they just let them after about 3-0. So our defense looks far more assured. I think the midfield are going to have a really I think it's going to be who wins the battle in midfield will win the game tomorrow, because obviously, we've got these. Iwobi seems to be like a brand new player this season and like the end of last season. Onana will be interesting to see how he plays tomorrow. If Garner Gay plays any game, I genuinely think we could get something. So I'm going to go 2 results. With my head, I'm going to say it's a 1-1 draw, and with my heart, I'm going to say I reckon 2-0. I don't know why. 2-0 to Everton.
Wow.
I tell you what, that is so optimistic, but I love to see it, man. I really do. Before we wrap up, is there any thoughts of this question? I'll bring it up again from Anthony. Thanks for the super chat, Anthony. Much appreciated, bro. 2 teams to win all leagues in all 4 divisions. Has anyone got, before I say what I think it is, has anyone got any ideas?
Only one I can really think of possibly is Blackburn.
That's what I
was
thought.
gonna
I
say
thought Blackburn or Burnley. That's the only thing I think. Burnley potentially.
Man
The
City,
Blackburn
maybe.
So the ones, few people have said some in the chat.
I've
The
got
ones that,
one more.
go on, Ed.
I've got
Go on,
one
Ed.
more. I think Blackburn and Leicester City.
So I'm not going to go for any of those. I think it's Wolves and Preston, but I might be wrong, Anthony. You'll have to let us know. The other team was Burnley. Emilio said. I thought it was 3. I thought it was Burnley, Wolves, and Preston,
Burnley,
but I might be completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So if it ain't Wolves and Preston, Anthony, I'm sorry. I thought it was, and I've clearly not got it right. But let us know in the chat if we've got that right, or if any one of those are right. We've got Cambridge University FC that are apparently the oldest in the site. Wolves and Portsmouth, apparently it is.
Oh, wow.
Wolves
Portsmouth.
and Portsmouth. There we go. Wow. That's a great question. There was one earlier that he had as well that was a really good question as well. So we'll have to save that one for next time, Anthony, because we ain't got time for it. But please do let us know any more quiz questions you got, because I do love a football quiz question. Absolutely superb. Guys, this has been a great stream, man. I absolutely love talking to you guys. It's been fantastic to know your thoughts on the teams you support, but also get an understanding of what everyone's thoughts are around the Premier League as well. Emilio, I wish you all the best of luck, mate, against Spurs. I really hope you take all 3 points, mate. Thank you again for coming on.
You're welcome. Yeah, looking forward to going there tomorrow. New stadium, just obviously good just to see what all the fuss is about, to be honest. So it's as long as we can come away with something.
It's not that special, mate. It's not that special, mate. No, I'm joking. It is. It is a beautiful stadium. It is amazing. Billy, always a pleasure, mate. I feel like I spoke to you all the time at the moment. Good luck, mate. I hope you do something against City. I don't know if you will,
Me
but
and you
it'll be
both,
amazing.
mate. Me and you both.
Thanks for coming on, though, bro.
Pleasure as always, mate.
So, man, Ed, debut, absolute legendary debut as well, man. Would love to see you on here more. So I look forward to speaking to you in the week as well, man. And thanks so much for coming on, bruv.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated for having me. Been great to speak and meet you all, I guess.
Absolutely, man. Get used to these faces. Get used to these faces, people. And thank you all so much for watching as well. Plus, smash a like if you can on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're on the road to 5K, people. So come on, help me get to 5K, please, people. It'd be amazing. And also follow everyone on the socials as well and support their content as well. As you can see on the screen, go and give them a follow on socials. Guys, we'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as I always say, up the Arsenal. Take care, guys.
Okay, guys.